I want to give all honors and glories and praises to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Wakakodash, Yahweh, which is the one true name of the Heavenly Father, Yahweh Shai, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, but his one true name is Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, meaning coming in the name. Ba means coming in, Ha means the, Shah means name, Rakah means spirit, Kodash means holy. Peace, blessings, salutations to the hopeful elect, and shalom to you, sincere brothers that are scattered abroad, pushing forth this word in truth and sincerity. I am the brother Mashiach Irazakah, and pretty much in this lesson, it's going to be titled as, mainly the remnant, but this lesson is mainly going to be titled as, be careful who you say is the elect and who isn't the elect. Be careful with that statement. Now, this isn't directed to the elders or any brother, but you got dudes in their videos, they're saying certain brothers is not the elect. So, I'm just doing this lesson for a reminder. You yourself as an individual, remember, you're not celestial yet out there. You're still in the flesh just as much as I am or any of the other brothers out there is. Remember, you're not celestial yet. You're still working 9 to 5s. You still praying and hoping daily. You still got to fight spirits and demons off of you in this ministry, whether you're in a group or not in a group, right? You're still going through turmoil and afflictions daily. So for you to make a statement in your video, now I'm not talking about the elders because those men are experienced. Those men are 45 years experience. Those men have been through all types of stuff and they still going through stuff. I'm not speaking about those men. There's dudes in this ministry that's doing videos and they're saying certain brothers is not of the elect. So reminder out there to everybody, including myself, you're in the flesh. You're hoping yourself to be of the elect. Remember, you're hoping to be the elect. So when you say a video in your statement saying that this dude ain't of the elect, remember, you don't know specifically yourself if you're the elect. You don't know that. So, I'm going to get scriptures out. This is why I'm going over it as well as a reminder to myself. We're all hoping and praying to be of the elect. I don't care who you are in this truth. If you know the Lord's name is Yahweh Bashim Shai, remember, even though you're in a camp or not in a camp, don't let that get to your head because you're in a camp. You think you're safe. You're not safe. You can still turn out to be a 2/3. You could be a dude to be in a camp, and the Lord can wind up shifting you to still be a 2/3. There's brothers in this truth that have visions of dudes that did everything of what was given. They followed protocols. They followed orders. They went to camp. They did works. They did all of that. And then when it came to them of who turned out to be the elect, them dudes didn't make it. So you could turn out to be one of those individuals. Just because you're doing lessons and you're doing works, that don't mean you're the elect. You could be a brother that, again, I said this many times before, you could be a dude to be doing videos, you're going to camp faithfully, you're following every single protocol, you're put as the most sincerest brother in the ministry. That shit still don't mean that you're the elect. You can still be a 2/3, and you can have as many subscribers too. You can have 35,000 subscribers, you getting 46 thumbs, likes on your videos. That should still put you in a spirit of fear because you could still be a 2/3 and a brother that only knows a little bit of the truth. You could be a brother to be speaking in the Hebrew, the breakdowns of Daniel 7, you know how to speak in the Hebrew, you know the etymology of the Hebrew, etymology of the Greek, you're following protocols, you're doing all of that, and you can still turn out to be a 2/3 and a brother that only knows this much of the truth. He don't know a lot. He only know a little bit of truth. He's not getting that many videos. That many likes on his channel. He don't have that many subscribers on his YouTube channel, and he can still turn out to be the elect. This is why we don't push these type of things. So like it for the rambling, but I had to do this, because it's getting kind of crazy out there. So this is a reminder to everybody, even myself, man. It don't matter who you are in this truth. It doesn't mean that you're the elect. It doesn't matter. You could be in this truth 7 years. That shit still don't mean that you're the elect. You could still be a 2/3. You could be following everything and doing everything and still be a 2/3. Still turn out to not be the elect. And that brother that hasn't been getting that many reviews, or he hasn't been getting shared videos, and he doesn't have that many likes on his video, he could turn out to be the elect, and a dude that's highly admired and recognized by everybody in all these videos, he could still be a 2/3. This is why the scriptures say we got to work out our salvation with fear and trembling, because it don't matter about that. You have many guys in this ministry that were diligent, that did works, that did everything, and the Lord burnt their fire out. So enough of the rambling. Let's get to it. This is Matthew 24:31. It says, and he shall send his angels with a great sound of the trumpet, And they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven, even it says one end of heaven to the other. And this is the gathering of the elect. Okay, the elect is going to be delivered, right? And when you go to Genesis 49 and 10, it talks about Shiloh, which is Yahweh Shai, right? He's going to be doing the gathering, right? The elect of the nation of Israel, the nation of Israel is going to be gathered under Yahweh Shai, right? And Yahweh Shai, he's going to rule and he's going to reign on the earth. The kingdom of heaven is going to be established on the earth. But before that can happen, the Lord has to cast judgment on Esau's rulership. Esau's rulership has to be destroyed and taken down, right? The scriptures talks about all power and authority, right? 1 Corinthians 15, I think it's 24, right? It talks about all power, rule, and authority. His power structure has to be taken down. And the Lord Yahweh Shai is going to take down Esau's rulership, and he's going to set his kingdom on the earth, and the elect of the nation of Israel is going to be gathered, and they're going to be of that elect. Okay? Only a remnant is going to be saved. Not every single Hebrew Israelite is going to be saved. And that's another thing. Just because you know that you're a Hebrew Israelite and you have a King James Bible and you have a apocrypher, right? And you're out there teaching, you got a nice shaped beard, nice shaped afro, you have fancy garments, you got a 12 tribe chart, that don't make you the elect. You know the precepts very well. You're a precept genius. You just got all these precepts and you just quoting all these precepts. That still don't mean that you're the elect. You can know all the precepts in the scriptures and still be a 2/3. And I'm using, I'm seeing certain Israelite groups, all right, that, the Wi-Fi guys as an example, the precept leader, their precept whiz, he's just quoting all these precepts. That still don't mean that he's the elect. Now, he know the scriptures very well, but that still don't mean that he the elect. He can still be a 2/3. It doesn't matter about that. The Lord already has his elect already set up. The thing is, you don't know if you are that number. That's why we are working out our salvation with fear and trembling. Because you could just because you could be in the Lord can have you set up your lot to be set up, that you're in this thing for a while and he can burn your fire out, man. I've seen it happen. A lot of brothers in his ministry seen it happen. That's why we work out our salvation with fear and trembling, which I'm going to get that precept out in a minute. Isaiah 10 and 21. It says the remnant shall return. See, only a remnant is going to return. Not all Israel is going to be saved. 2/3 of the nation of Israel, according to Zechariah 13 and 8, is going to be put to death. They're going to be destroyed, right? They're going to be cut off and die, but the third shall be left there. And that's talking about the elect, okay? Only the elect is going to be delivered. Only the elect of the nation of Israel is going to be saved, which is that remnant. It says the remnant shall return, right? Even the remnant of Jacob, right, onto the mighty power, right? Only a remnant is going to be saved. Only a remnant is going to be delivered. Not all Israel is going to be saved. Isaiah 10 and 22, for though thy people Israel be as the sand of the sea, yet a remnant of them shall return. So I said it twice. It said it right here in verse 21, Isaiah 10 and 21, the remnant shall return, right? It said the remnant shall return, even the remnant of Jacob, onto the mighty power, right? Verse 22, for though thy people Israel be as the sand of the sea, yet a remnant shall return. Said it again, a remnant. Only a remnant is going to be saved. Not all Israel is going to be saved. You want to pray and hope that you are of that number. Okay? We're hoping to be of the elect. There's nothing wrong with that. And this is why, you don't go around making statements in your videos saying this dude is not of the elect, this dude over here is not of the elect. Because you're saying that dude over there is not the elect, but you specifically do not know if you're the elect. You specifically, because it's coming out of your mouth. You specifically don't know if you're the elect. You're hoping to be the elect. So by you saying this dude ain't of the elect, you don't know if you're the elect. So if you don't know yourself, if you're the elect, you shouldn't throw that judgment out and say this dude is not the elect. Because that dude that you're saying is not the elect can turn out to be the elect, and you can wind up being the 2/3. That's why you got to be careful what you be saying. Now the elders, they can say that because those men are experienced. But you other dudes, you young dudes in this truth, you can't repeat what they say because you're not experienced. You're not experienced like them. That's why brothers say certain things that elders say and do, it's not meant for you to repeat also, right? Not to be a mockingbird, because you're saying things that they're saying, but you specifically are not experienced or have the experience or the journey leadency to make those type of statements. That's why you got to be careful for that. Oh, this dude right here you're not of the elect, right? But you don't know specifically yourself if you're the elect, because you could be a dude in this truth for a minute and then be shifted out of truth. You can be shifted completely out of the truth. That has happened. Dudes that did lessons so much they burnt they fire went out. They burnt out. You know, you had dudes that were being this over righteous type guy, and he's no longer teaching. It says the consumption decree shall overflow with righteousness, and that's the main thing. We're hoping and praying to be of that remnant, man, right? Because when Yahushua comes on the scene, the kingdom of heaven is going to be established in what? Total righteousness. That's in 2 Peter 3:13, right? Isaiah 65, I think Isaiah 60, I think it's Isaiah 65:17, I think. Roughly paraphrase. I think it's Isaiah 65:17, right? It talks about the kingdom of heaven, us reigning on the kingdom of heaven, right? Revelations 5:10, right? So the kingdom of heaven is going to be ruled in total righteousness, right? It says the consumption decree shall overflow with righteousness, right? So, you know, this is a beautiful thing to read these prophecies about the elect and of the remnant. But the scary thing about this truth is that you don't know if you're of that number. So even though you're reading it in the scriptures, and it's a beautiful thing to break down, you're praying and hoping to be of this remnant that's mentioned in the scriptures. Because you could be reading this here and not be a part of that. That's what is scary. Romans 9:27, Esaias, which is Isaiah, also cried concerning Israel, though the number of the children of Israel be as the sand of the sea, a remnant shall be saved. So only a remnant is going to be saved. Only a remnant is going to be delivered. This is what we're all praying and fighting for in this ministry. This is why we're working out our salvation. You know, and another thing I'm seeing too is a lot of dudes is doing shit for what's that, competition. Everybody, not everybody, but you got certain brothers in this ministry, they're in competition with one another. Dudes is trying to out lead this brother here, and a lot of dudes is in competition. Some dudes is in this thing for attention's sake. Everybody wanted, not everybody, but certain dudes want attention. Certain dudes is doing shit for clout. You see it with these Israelite groups. Some of these dudes is doing shit for clout. Some of these dudes is doing stuff for vainglories. Certain dudes is doing videos just to get more subscribers and more likes on their channel. That don't mean shit. You can have all that and still not be of the elect. This is why I say you got to be careful with these type of spirits. Okay, you could be thinking that you're doing something good, and you can wind up not be doing something good, right? So you got to be careful. So even if you are getting views and likes on your channel and share videos, that still don't mean that you're the elect. It don't mean that, right? It says Isaiah 1:4. It says, according as he have chosen us in him before the foundation of the world, that we should be holy and without blame before him in love. And you see that? We try to be blamed. We try to be without blame, right? That's why we teach the word. We preach the gospel, right? It says, according as he have chosen us in him before the foundation of the world. So the Lord already has it set up for an example. The Lord already has, roughly paraphrase, the Lord already has his elect set up. The thing is, none of us in this ministry know if we're particularly of that number. We don't know. That's why we're called the hopeful elect. We hoping to be of the elect, right? That's why we're doing videos. We're going to camp, right? We're teaching the word, right? We're literally working out our salvation to the best of our ability. Because at the end of this day, whether you're in a camp, whether you're among brethren, none of them can save you in this truth. I don't care if you're under an elder 15 years. He still can't save you. You literally have to work out your own salvation. Point blank, period. Can no man in the truth save you? They said that themselves. I'm not making this up. They said it themselves. Can no man in the truth save you? That's why you, as an individual in a ministry, have to do your own works. You have to go out and teach. And if you are a brother in this truth too, that's another thing. That's why, really, I try not to really mention about do the works, because you're a grown-ass man. I'm a grown-ass man. I'm a 33-year-old man. I don't need no elder or no brother telling me to go and do lessons. I'm going to fucking do them anyway, regardless of what it is. Whether I'm in a camp or not in a camp, I'm going to do the works. Because why? I want to be of the elect. I pray every day to be of the elect. We all pray and hope to be of the elect. We don't want to be destroyed here. And that's another thing. You got to keep being reminded by men to do the works. I don't need no men to remind me to do the works. I'm going to do the works. I know I got to do it. I'm going to do it. If I got to do re-uploads of videos I did 2 days ago, I'm going to re-upload them bitches. Excuse my French. I'm going to re-upload them. I'm not going to let my channel get a week. Unless you got a strike, okay. Unless you got you got 2 strikes on your channel. Yeah, sometimes you go a week or 2 weeks in your channel. You're not able to do no lessons because you can get a strike. right? But if you ain't got a strike on your channel, there's no reason why you letting your channel get 1 week without a video. Now, the longest my channel ever be without works is 3 days or 2 days. I try not to even let my video even get 2-3 days or get 1 day or 1 day ago. I don't even like it hitting 1 day ago. Once that video says 1 day on my channel, that let me know I got to get another video in. But this is why, again, at the end of the day, you can't just burn yourself out. You gotta go, and pray to the Lord that He keeps your fire lit to get in as best as what you can get in within the week. The elders said do a video every day, or get video in every day. Because back then, not too long ago, the elders were saying get 3 videos in every day. Okay, not every one of us is going to be able to get 3 videos in every day, because you had dudes that was getting sluggard and they had to keep reminding men to do that. That's a whole nother subject, but you should know that you gotta do the works, man, to be of that number. And I'm just saying that because I remember in the time past when I used to have brethren, even or I used to fellowship with brethren, they used to, certain brothers that I knew, they would talk about how the kingdom was going to be and how we're going to have women and how we're going to be of the remnant of the elect, and we're praying to be of the elect. And then, when it comes to them, they talk about it, but when it comes to them being a men of the Lord, they ain't doing no lessons. They letting their channel get 1 week, 2 weeks, then upload a video. Nah, man. It doesn't hurt to get a video. And remember, you're working out your own salvation, man. But again, that's why I stopped doing lessons about brothers must do the works, because you're a grown ass man. You know that you gotta pee. You gotta take a number 1, number 2. You gotta do that. You know that you gotta work in your daily life and you gotta be there on time. Y'all know all these things. So why does a whole nother group of grown men gotta remind you to do that? That's crazy. 2 Timothy 2:10. Therefore I endure all things for the Lord's sake. Right? It says that they may also obtain the salvation which is in Yahushua Mashiach with eternal glory. You see that? Therefore I endure all things for the elect's sake. Right? And we're coming in the same stead as Yahushua, Isaiah 53. Right? Yahushua called a lot of affliction, a lot of torment, a lot of abusing in the flesh. Right? Plus put his life up on the line. Right? He was rejected and despised by men. Right? And it's the same thing with us. We're rejected and despised by men. We're hated by men. We're hated in this society, and we don't care. I don't care. I don't care if I'm hated by people in society. I don't care. Because at the end of the day, none of y'all is the Lord. Right? That's how we all feel in this truth. None of you guys is the Lord. We know what we're doing and why we're doing it. Why we're teaching. Why we're preaching the word. Because we're doing it to earn our spot in the kingdom. Right? We're working out our salvation and giving out the warning and following the instructions to the best of our ability of what the Lord told us to do. So we don't care. We're going to do that. It says, therefore I endure all things for the elect's sake, that they may also obtain salvation. Because you got to endure through these afflictions. Yeah, preaching and teaching the word is one thing. Praying and ask Lord for mercy, all those things is beautiful. We must do too. But it also comes with affliction and torment and endure and affliction. Right? You even got to suffer wrongfully in this truth. You even have to do that. And not every single brother can suffer wrongfully either in this truth. Sometimes not sometimes, but that's a lot for a brother to be able to do, but you got to do it. Sometimes you got to suffer wrongfully in this ministry. That comes with you being tried and tested to see if you're still going to glorify the Lord or not. This is why we say you don't know how your lot going to turn out to be. 2 Peter 1:10. It says, wherefore the rather, brethren, give diligence to make your calling and election sure. How you make your calling and election sure? With diligence. So yes, we are to do videos, we are to do lessons, but that still don't mean that you're the elect because you're doing lessons. Again, you can be a brother, do a lesson every single day. You can be going into the Hebrew, you can be going into Greek, you can be breaking down Daniel 7 very well, you can know Genesis 49 very well, you can know what heathen is who, where they dwelt at, what happened in BCE and AD and CE, and know all that common era and all that, know the etymology, meaning words, the breakdowns very well. That still won't mean that you're the elect. You can know all of that stuff there and not be the elect. And a brother that only knows a little bit of the truth, he only know, I'll use an example, he only know Job 9:24, and he could turn out to be the elect. You don't know. Like, this is why the scriptures say to work out your salvation with fear and trembling. With fear and trembling in this thing. That precept, Philippians 2:12, always keeps me going. Because that precept there is going to always remind you to stay, you know, in this ministry, praying to the Lord and for mercy. It says, work out your salvation with fear and trembling, man. Because you don't know where the Lord is going to take you. You could be over here at one point, and then you could be moved over here. Don't know, right? 2 Peter 1:10. And that's why I say again, right, the elders, they can say, the elders, they can say that, this brother's not the elect, because those men are experienced. Those men know. But you guys that's in this thing, just repeating what they say, you only been in this truth 5 years, 4 years, 2 years, you shouldn't be saying that, because you don't know specifically yourself if you're the elect. You don't know. So just because you see the elders saying it's okay for you to be a mockingbird, that's why the elders say don't be a mockingbird. Because you can repeat what they saying, and you only been in his truth 3 years. You don't know if you the elect. That don't mean you the elect, right? Wherefore the rather, brother, give diligence to make your calling and election sure. For if ye do these things, ye shall never fall. And this is why, again, yes, doing works is what is working on your salvation, right? But it's also with being charitable. It's also with having faith, right? It's also of rehearsing the righteous acts to the best of your ability, right? It's also with prayer, fasting, right? Following order. It comes with a lot. Doing works is not just the only thing that's important in the ministry. You also got to be charitable among brethren as well. All of these things are all important. It's important in the ministry, right? It's important. So doing works is one thing, yeah. But to be of the elect, it's a lot that we got to do. This is why we keep working on ourselves, right? Isaiah 45:4, it says, for Jacob my servant's sake, and Israel mine elect, right? I have even called thee by thy name. I have surnamed thee, though thou hast not known me. And you see that? So again, man, we're hoping to be the elect. For Jacob is my servant's sake, and Israel is mine elect. You see that? This is the elect, that remnant, right? So we're hoping to be of that elect. We're hoping to be of that number, right? And we know and understand that, we gotta mark brothers, right? The scriptures say, mark them which cause division. Absolutely. That's why we do that, right? But, when you make judgments and you're not experienced of them, that's why the elders say be experienced. Because when you talk about temptation, you got to be experienced, right? I'm not saying not to say those things, right? But you got to be experienced. You can't be 2 years in the truth telling brothers they not the elect, because now you're saying this dude over here is not the elect, and you don't know specifically if you're the elect. You're not celestial yet. You dudes that's 2, 3, 4 years in the truth, you're a baby. I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with breaking down scriptures. Yeah, you gotta teach the word, but you can't say those things if you're not experienced. That's like repairing a car, and you barely learning how to do that, and the dude that's experienced is breaking down the car, saying, "Yeah, I'm breaking down the brake." He know how to take it apart. He went to school for it, right? He worked on how to fix the brakes and change the brakes, and then you're repeating what he's saying, but you never fucking changed the brakes. You never did that before, but you're just teaching somebody else saying the same thing, but you never actually worked on a car. But that dude that's been working in a car as a mechanic, been doing all that, right? He's saying it because he know how to change the brakes very well, right? He know how to change the brakes. He went to school for it. He changed the brakes. He did all that. Now you repeat to somebody else on how to do it, and you never really did it before. So that's just an example. This is why you don't repeat what somebody else say unless you're experienced. You're experienced, hey, I'm all for that. You can say that. I'm not saying that though, because I don't know specifically if I'm the elect. So I'm not going to tell another brother that he's not the elect, because you don't know. Wisdom of Solomon 3:9. You're hoping to be the elect over there. It says, they that put their trust in him shall understand the truth. And you see that? And such as faithful in love shall abide with him. For grace and mercy is to his saints, the Israelites, right? And he have care for his what? Elect. And this is why we're praying and hoping to be what? The elect. To be of that remnant. To be of that elect. Right? Because that elect is the remnant there. Right? That's that preserved. Right? John 15:16, it says, ye have not chosen me, but I have chosen you. And this is why it says, Philippians 2:12, work out your salvation with fear and trembling, right? Because you don't, the Lord, all right, you didn't choose the Lord chooses you. The Lord already has your lot written out in this truth. And the thing is, you're just playing out that lot. It can either be of the elect or it can be a 2/3. You don't know. That's what makes it scary in the truth. Because even though the Lord called you in this thing, it doesn't mean that you're the elect. He can have you called into this thing just for a particular time and then burn your fire out and then take your gift and then give it to somebody else. That's why the scriptures say in Psalms 51:11, right? It says, take not that Holy Spirit from me, because your gift can be taken from you and given to somebody else, right? John 15:16, ye have not chosen me, but I have chosen you and ordained you that ye should go and bring forth fruit, right? Your labors, your works, and that your fruit, your labors, shall remain, that whatsoever ye shall ask of the Father in my name, he may give it you. And this is why we, again, we're praying without ceasing, right? You see, for example, praying without ceasing, man. Fasting, praying, praying for brethren, etc. Right? But the main thing is that you haven't chosen the Lord. The Lord chooses you. So the Lord is going to choose his elect. You're not gonna be the one to be able to choose the elect. That's why I don't say that in the videos. Oh, you're not the elect. You don't know. You're not the Lord. The only person that knows who's the elect and who the Lord chosen is the Lord. You don't know that. That's why I don't say that. It says, ye have not chosen me, but I have chosen you. So the Lord, this is for example, the Lord already has his elect already set up. You don't know if you're that number. You don't know if that brother is the elect. You don't know specifically if you're the elect. You don't know that. Right? You don't know that. That's why you don't say that. Second Esdras 8:1. It says, and he answered me, saying, the Most High have made this world for many, but the world to come for few. And that's in the kingdom. That's for the elect. Now the elect is going to have to bring back the 2/3 that's destroyed on this end, because not every single Israelite is going to be saved. 2/3 of them have to be put to death according to prophecy. All of us pray and hope that we're not of the 2/3, because that's going to be a horrifying judgment. That's why we working out our salvation with fear and trembling, and we're praying and hoping to be of the elect. Because again, you could be in a camp, you could be doing lessons every day, you could be doing all of that and still be a 2/3. And a dude that's not recognized at all, a brother that's not recognized at all, but he's doing the works to the best of his ability, can turn out to be the elect, and you may know the Hebrew, the Greek, and all of that, and still not be of the elect. That can happen. That can happen. That's why we pray and hope to be of the elect. We work out our salvation. We do as best as we can in this thing. Matthew 19:28, and Yahushua said unto them, verily I say unto you, that ye which have followed me in the regeneration, when the Son of Man shall sit in the right throne of his glory, ye also shall sit upon the 12 thrones. This is talking about the elect, right? Judging the 12 tribes of Israel. Now you had 144,000. That's all the elect men, but you also had the men, women, and children under that as the elect, which is in Revelation 7:9, talking about that great multitude there. So you're going to have the elect, the 144,000, which is all the elect men, but you also got the men, women, and children under that as the elect. And this is why we're saying, even though the elect, right, is mentioned in the scriptures, right, we're all still hoping and praying to be of the elect, because we're still corruptible right now. We're in a corruptible state. We're in a faint state, a corruptible state, a corrupt state, right, a mortal state. You're not celestial yet. You're not immortal yet. So you can't say who's the elect and who isn't, because you don't know specifically if you are that's the point. You don't know specifically that you're the elect. You don't know. So that's why you don't say that, because you don't know. Even though you're saying it to make yourself sound good in your videos, you don't remember. You're still in the flesh, and you're still in captivity, and you're still working 9 to 5s. You don't know if you're the elect. So for you to say somebody else isn't, you better hope that you are, because you might not be of the elect. And that dude that you're saying is not of the elect can turn out to be the elect, and you can turn out to be a 2/3. That's why you got to be careful. You just got to be mindful. And that's why the elders say you got to be experienced when you say those type of, you just got to be experienced, man. Even when you're teaching about suffering, affliction, of temptation, you got to be experienced. Because if not, the Lord will fucking jack your ass up. Excuse my French. He will jack you up. Like Elder Apostle Ramlov said years back. You got brothers that's doing these videos and talking like they're experienced, and then when it comes on them, they want to start falling apart. It's the same thing with that, man. You want to be careful saying who's the elect and who isn't the elect. I ran into some dudes that even believe right now that they already the elect. Oh, I'm not hoping to be the elect. I am the elect. You don't know specifically if you're the elect. You don't know. You don't know if you're the elect. In the times past, I ran into dudes that said that they were the elect. You don't know specifically if you're the elect. You don't. You don't know that you're the elect. You're hoping to be the elect. You can sit there and say you are the elect, but you don't know specifically yourself if you're the elect. You don't know that. None of us do. Right? This is Jude chapter 1:1. It says, Jude, the servant of Yahushua Mashiach, and brother of James, to them that are sanctified by the Most High, their Father, and preserved in Yahushua Mashiach and called. And remember, when we get to Isaiah 49:6, it talks about the restoring of the preserved, the restoring of reserved of Jacob, right? Or the reserved, the preserved. That's the remnant. That's the elect, right? It says, mercy unto you and peace and love be multiplied. Verse 3, it says, beloved, when I gave all diligence to write unto you of common salvation, right? It was needful for me to write unto you and to exhort what ye should earnestly contend for the faith which was once delivered unto the saints, the Israelites. So we're praying and hoping to be of the elect, and that preserved there, which goes back to Isaiah 49:6. That's that remnant, which is the elect. Only a remnant is going to be saved, man. Only a remnant is going to be saved. Isaiah 1:9. Except the Lord of hosts had left unto us a very small remnant, which it says we should have been as Sodom, and we should have been like unto Gomorrah. Like for an example, how the Lord destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, he wiped that whole civilization out, right? But he could have did that to Israel, but he didn't. The Lord didn't do that to us. We're his people, right? But the Lord, he could have wiped us all out like Sodom and Gomorrah. But the Lord did it. He still had compassion and love upon us. We're his children, right? So that's a blessing, man. The Lord could have took us out like he did Sodom and Gomorrah, but he didn't, right? We could have been taken out like Sodom and Gomorrah because we were being wicked, man. We started falling away to heathen, worshiping idols, etc. But what? The Lord, he still gave us a shot, right? So we have this second shot to get right, and we're under the temporal grace. We're not in the new covenant yet, because the new covenant, that's going to be established in the kingdom. We're not in the kingdom, right? I mean, we're not in the kingdom yet. We're not in the old covenant either. We're in between the new and the old. We're not in the new covenant yet, and we're not in the old covenant. We're in between the old and the new. We're in between. Because the kingdom of heaven, the house of David is being built. It's being built up spiritually. That third temple, that's being built up spiritually. Right now, that's being built up spiritually. Okay? This is Philippians 2:12. It's a precept I've been quoting all day in this scripture. It says, wherefore, my beloved, as ye have always obeyed, not as in my presence only, but now much more in my absence, work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. And this is why we're working out our salvation with what? Fear and trembling. So again, you can say that if you want in your videos, but remember, you don't know specifically if you are the elect. That's the thing. You can say this dude over here, this brother over here is not the elect, and this brother over here is not the elect. Remember, you yourself, you're not celestial yet. You're still in the flesh. You're still corruptible. You're not incorruptible. You're still corruptible. And you're still mortal, which means death. You're still in a death state. You're in a carnal flesh. And you still work 9 to 5s. So you don't know specifically yourself if you're the elect. You're hoping to be the elect. So this is why I don't say that. Now the elders, they can say that because they're experienced. Those men are experienced. But these other guys being mockingbirds in his ministry, remember, you don't know specifically yourself if you're the elect. Just because you're on good terms with brothers, that don't mean that you're the elect. It don't mean that. You could be here and then be there. The Lord is still shifting cards and stuff. This is why we praying and hoping to be the elect. So hey man, I just had to bring that out. This is pretty much going into the remnant, but hey, remember, we're hoping and praying to be of the elect. Only a remnant is going to be saved. Not all Israel is going to be saved. So hey, Lord willing, that's edifying. On to the next one. Shalom.